Milan. Of course, the respect from Akeno on that Nautilus. And since the blue side will be the first one who's going to pick, you don't want that Nautilus also being prioritized. So a Riven right away for Taku. He is once again, his presence has been felt countless times with how many knockup he's been doing. But Ione and the Jace will come through. And what will be the next pick, as Alisin can be also looking juicy, but the Senna will be prioritized for Dahao.
A huge utility champion for the side of Philippines locked in. And for the side of Vietnam, they had a huge opportunity to deny the champion of Nazarea picking up the Riven as the prio pick. Now the question is, what will the next couple of champions be, as Gragas will be locked in by Vietnam which is a really huge engage tool for the team.
You can definitely see that even though they are going to settle for the Gragas, you know that how Akeno is really scary on his playmaking skills, the same as Angara. Both of the supports, they know how to roam around the map and utilize the maximum efficiency of explosive casks. This time, we're going to see Ziggs in the hands of Genza, not a Zoe. Pretty much, we have seen him use it for the whole series up until Philippines banned it away. So. Much of a breathing space here. Since we already saw the Senna coming in, no chance for a Corki or a Varus, and it's time for Vietnam to settle on that Ziggs. So opening it up with a ban of a Corki. This is to deny the mid lane for Vietnam, and might be an easy task for VIE to make sure to bully out the BMM, not unless they're not going to ban the Garen, which is a possible last pick for Vietnam.
Yeah, there's still a lot of options for both these sides, but so far, both teams still doesn't have any junglers. Vietnam is still missing a mid laner as well. On top of that, for the side of Philippines, a lot of flexibility on their draft. You have Nazarea, or well, you have the Jace that can be flexed onto the jungle or mid lane. And so far, Vietnam is having the eyes on Justchi or on Tan on banning his champions away for this game one.
Oh, a Fiora. So they don't want any counters for Taku, but a Renekton is still on the board for Nazarea. He can also play on a Jax as a late game insurance, but a really good plan right now as they want to stay static onto the lane. They might shake things up. They can possibly go for a jungle Jace once again and rotate this champion, or they are going to still stick with the VIE Jace and the Garen for Nazarea.
Could possibly be. It is a really intense type of draft that we are seeing so far.
We still have
being locked
Yone.
in. Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the Yone. Come on, why one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Philippines, they didn't ban it away. They are much more scared onto the Olaf. It's hard to control, especially with how the lineup is looking good for Vietnam with the Riven already and the Gragas. So many setups that can layer with that Olaf, but a Yone that can snowball into mid to late game. What's good about Philippines is they all have the tools to shut down Y1 with the Damascene Justice as a burst, and you have the Justice Punches from Angara. So what will be the last pick? And they are the ones who's going for the cinch, as they don't want to be picked against them for the Riven. We saw game one Infinity from the previous series that they had, that it went to VIE, but it didn't really pan out really good for game one. So Philippines is well aware on how to play around a Singe.
Yeah, now the question is, what will the last pick be for Team Philippines? So far, they still have the flexibility to flex in the jungle or mid lane, but with Gwen being locked in, this is it. The final lock on draft here, Osiris, and paint me a picture, walk me through what we can expect in this very first game for both sides.
Oh, I will paint you Spolarium, because I'm seeing right now a bloodbath as how these teams right now, they are going teeth to teeth, and they're just going to look for those snowball factors. Remember that you have the Yone and the Ziggs. This is the early game that Vietnam wants to play in. Philippines will be coming in as Angara will set again the tempo. He is completely shut down from his Galio how many times from yesterday, but was able to pick up his Rakan and Alistar. But what's good about this lineup is it feels like a Philippines, they got their comfort pick, and we're going to see a Gwen to Nazarea to be on par with that Riven of Taku.
Yeah, let's see, because right now it's all eyes on the screen. Game number 1, we are here. Team Philippines versus Vietnam with Gaio, Senna, Garen, Jace, and Gwen for the side of Team Philippines. You have Yone, Singed, Riven, and the likes for Team Vietnam. Osiris, this is it. The start of a historical moment for both regions.
Yes, and I'm really excited how they're going to maximize this Singe as it failed in the hands of Philippines yesterday. I just wanted to see it in the hands of Vietnam, as they are the ones who setting the tempo countless times for how many games that they have been with a complete 3-0. They only failed to Philippines, and by track record, the back onto the history, they don't have any points. They are completely on a 3-2. Again and again, a full 5 games, but it's always has been Ligma Galaxy or Team Philippines representatives going out on top against Cerberus, the Vietnam team. And right now, we are still waiting to jump into the rift. I am really excited. There's so many surprises here, especially we already know how explosive that they can be. Are they going to deliver the strong start for game 1? Is there any members or players that want to assert dominance and start to snowball from here? Is this going to be a 3-0 or a complete 5 games to show who is deserving for the gold medal?
Yeah, and this is really, really scary. And so far, it is a battle of that mental fortitude and also how these teams would also perform. This game 1 will set the tone for the rest of the series, how Philippines and how Vietnam will be able to take in the playstyle, the execution in the Rift. Remember, Vietnam also played in the series past, and this is going to be their second series of the day simultaneously in the gold medal matchup. So a lot of pressure on the shoulders for both sides, but Osiris, we are moments away from game number 1. This is it. But what is the winning condition here for Team Philippines, as we've talked about Ziggs and Yone for the side of Team Vietnam?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the prowess of Tan right now. He is the one who's going to use the Jace, which is, to be honest, we want him on a loose cannon. We want him on a playmaking type of champion, a Kha'Zix or a Lee Sin. But this time, he is the one who's going to full send those shock blasts, while VIE will be on a passive state with that Garen. And I'm hoping that definitely he can just make plays all across mid, as he needs to shut down BMM. But as what you mentioned, win condition, let's stick on to the guns of Senna, Dahao. The late game prowess, the one who's going to shred the front line, and definitely this Singe. So I think as you keep the ball rolling for Dahao and the playmaking skills of Angara, they can just win for how many rounds? We saw Dahao staying onto the back line for the reason that Angara always provides support to Tan. He is initiating countless times onto the front line to easily nullify the teamfight prowess of Vietnam. And at that point, there's so many freedom from Dahao to just poke and kill anyone that he's being exposed.
Alright, so all eyes on Tan and Dahao for Team Philippines, and for Team Vietnam, we have eyes on Y1 and Genza. How will they be able to perform this time around in this game number 1 for the gold medal matchup here today? And so far, I do agree with what you're saying about, you know, these champions that we have to look at, these players that we have to look at. And on top of that as well, for Team Vietnam, is that they will have a difficult time to gaining the access onto Dahao later on the back lines.
Yeah, slowly but surely, Angara right now is being torn down by Genza. Much understandable, a melee and a range matchup right there. Angara just needs to wave clear, but he is totally blinking on that red. And one misstep can give an early advantage to Genza. Trying to take it slow, but they're starting things up at Baron Lane.
Body stab, roots onto Akano as well as a counter engage, and overall Team Philippines won that trade. But for now, it's a bit too early to go for an all-in, and everyone's playing quite cautiously into this early matchup.
Yeah, and you can see the difference that both of our support didn't really need to go onto the mid lane. They just went in and support Senna and Taku. Much of a different, or let's say Nazarea and Taku, much of a different approach right now. We didn't see any playmakers or the one who's being aggressive onto that Garen and Singe. Both of them really tanky, really beefy. You don't want to entirely waste a lot of time to just try and give them any bruises. But you can see one of the key players, as much as what I mentioned, Angara with his playmaking skills. He's looking for those right targets. Just yesterday, the Rakan and his Alistar again and again destroyed completely Vietnam.
And coming into fray in the mid lane, go for the two-man run for Team Philippines, forced to back away for Team Vietnam.
And I told you once again, the win condition from Tan with a shock blast pushes away two members from Vietnam, goes for the recall, and they need to go for a reset. And these tanky mid laners, there's no problem, no need for any ganks. They're just trying to take it easy. They're going for the farm. The same as how we're seeing at the Baron lane. So we are seeing a movements for the Dragon lane for both of our junglers. That might be surprisingly a start of us of the gank that we are waiting for.
Yeah, we are already at level 5 across the board for each and every single member. So ultimates are going to be ready for these champions, for these players as well, to make plays to set up ganks. But for now, right now, it is the face seal coming from Y1 into the mid lane.
Whoa!
But you have VIE going for the Smash and Justice right across to BMM as they secure the first blood.
And that's the reason why you gotta respect this Garen. BMM is not a big of a question on how, no, he knows how to use or utilize a Garen, but failed to respect and to do so by going back a bit. Overcommitment, being punished, and Daho's rotation looking solid on that one as they were able to use the Dawning Shadow to add extra layer of shields for VIE.
Yeah, and on top of that, the throw coming in from BMM when Garen was just trying to go back away was a bit of a struggle along with a Fate Seal because VIE went closer to BMM to execute, and that was just a crazy amount of damage coming from the Smash and Justice. As we all know, the lower that you're posing member or opposing enemy has a lower HP, has a bigger turret, has a bigger damage output. So far, a good start for Team Philippines.
Yeah, and we are starting onto the objectives in a bit. They need to poise down. They need to make sure that they are starting to gain vision as how Vietnam, they are putting a lot of attention to a Rift Herald and using it to mid lane. So they might be going for just an objective trade. They don't want to lose as much as they can, but Keno, he wants to make a play or just going to peek a bit. But Tan secures the dragon. And right now, the play onto the bottom.
Body slam onto 2. Angara is very low. Forced to go back away. Heroes Anchor to zone away the enemy team. Tower onto Tan. And changes target onto VIE. But so far, they are all safe. We're in trade. They got 2 kills. And so far, this is such huge value for Team Philippines. But at the cost of a turret in the mid lane.
Yes, and not just a single turret because the Rift Herald is still alive, was able to headbutt the second tower. Might be going down, but with the 2 kills in their pocket, a single tower that opens up the whole map, Vietnam can go overboard. They can just go beyond the rivers and make some plays. This is a bit alarming for Philippines, so they kind of need to answer that one. A tower to tower hasn't been fully completed as even the bottom lane is still alive.
Yeah, especially in this early type of scenario for game number 1. 6 minutes of losing your tier 1 turret mid lane is not the most ideal situation if ever you still want to delay the game. You have the Senna, you have the Gwen to be able to scale towards late. Right now though, having Taku is chasing down VIE, but will be able to go back and retreat.
Yes, and how we're seeing Taku right now just farming, just creating a lot of pressure onto the bottom lane. And this is what I'm telling you about. Once they open the mid lane, it's their freedom already. We are seeing Y1 invading and making sure to keep Taku protected, trying to focus onto the dragon lane.
Yeah, but at the very least, despite that invade coming in from Team Vietnam, they weren't able to secure the tier 1 turret in the bottom lane. While on the other side, Team Philippines was able to secure a turret.
Yeah.
So far, a lot of gold injection for the side of Team PH.
And this is something that they need. Remember the Dahao, the late game insurance of Philippines. He is currently sitting at a 003 and just gaining some items. So looking for their souls, lurking around. And the focus onto the Dragon Lane will be a huge, intense fight.
Into the bottom lane, into the backside, taunts on 2 people. And that is the opening that Team Philippines would be able to get. Soloing and isolating Akino to take that kill. And so far, no trades has been secured by Team Vietnam. 0-4 kill standing.
Yes, and a 0-4 right now. Even the tower, before they went out, the hull breaker, first item from VIE is working wonders as he is creating a lot of pressure. And he is the one who's dealing with Taku's rotation, while BMM, this cinch has yet to spike, has yet to be more beefy. So entirely fight VIE once again. So the roaming Garen will just wave clear, will create a lot of pressure. And with that injection of gold, as you've mentioned, with how well they are utilizing this Garen, the pressure from the bottom lane has been relieved as they are the ones who's able to complete the first tower take.
DMM, sticky ground, the roots down onto 1. You have the explosive caster as well to CC chain the enemy team. And now Angara is a bit on a dangerous spot. However, Tan is there to go into fray, support his teammates as Y1 is very low. He has to force to retreat. And now VIE looks to go for the execute as well, but just too much knockback. And now Taku comes in to support Team Vietnam as well, securing VIE as a kill. Team Philippines has to go back, run towards the hills, and not force the fight.
You can see Taku is confident when he used the Blade of the Exile and tried to look for easy target. That's VIE who doesn't have his flash. And they tried to exit as much as they want to make a play. We saw Tan overcommitting onto that Into the Skies, and we've talked about this countless times that it will put you into a harm's way. You can see here Shock Blast, but wanted to go hard against Genza, but you gotta remember, you already have BMM into the front. He is spreading those toxic and toxins, and you don't really want it to go in as hard as that. And right now, the punish coming in from the east side of Vietnam.
Another fight though. Taku goes for the double man stun. However, Akino is gone. This is a 4v5. If Vietnam forces this fight, they are at the man disadvantage. Right now though, Y1 with a fake seal. Double man now coming to the backside. They have lost 2 members immediately from that fight because of Y1. And that is huge punish from Team VN.
Yes, a huge punish indeed from Vietnam, and at this point of the game, they were able to snag the Rift Herald to create a pressure, but this Infernal Dragon, a 1-1 into the board, just to make sure that they got the objective trade. It was good for Philippines to entirely give a lot of attention to deny the powers or the map control from Vietnam, but definitely with that 2-member, the Fate Seal from Y1, it feels like they forgot to respect what this guy is capable of.
Yeah, and from the series past that we have seen, Y1 keeps on performing despite coming from the top lane into the jungle. The performance of this player is exceptionally well right now. Looking at the replay, what happened there, Osiris?
You can definitely see out here that the Angara is definitely ready. With the Damascene Justice being spent, you are sure that there's no Akeno that's going for those body slams. It delivers a good explosive cast, but the re-engage right here, it's Y1 lining things up. But the smite has been dropped already, so there's no problem. It's not just the Fate Sealed, but BMM and zoning everyone, most of the carries from the Philippines. And at that point, they just need to back out. Job's done for them, but a good job for Vietnam to have those casualties.
Yeah, and a follow-up from Taku as well. Exceptional play, going in for the double man stun right after the Fate Sealed. And that is the type of prowess that brought Vietnam here in the gold medal matchup. And looking at what the Team Vietnam is doing, a lot of pressure is being placed on top side quadrant against Team Philippines.
Yeah, definitely. Without the Fate Seal, there's no two-man knock-up. So a good follow-up, these layers of CC that we saw. But
Explosive
right now,
cast.
woo,
Followed up by the body slam. Heroes entrance to follow through as well. So much CC being lasered on top of each other. Akino has to go back, running away.
Snip,
But
snip.
DMM forced to flash over the hill, over the wall to go and retreat. A 1-for-1 trade is secured. Both tumblers are going to be down. Akino trying to delay this fight. Tries to go for the disengage, but Angara goes for the Justice Punch. Knocks up onto Akino, and Akino just has to say goodbye. Pinned down, and Team Philippines was able to take 2 kills.
this is once again a back and forth fight that we are seeing, but the positioning of Vietnam, Nazarea created a lot of pressure with his hollowed miss and snip snip just to fend away. I believe that was BMM, and at that point there's no one who can provide a good amount of damage or continuous damage. So let's see, let's check it onto the replay. Tan, he was being kidnapped. He was being isolated. The Dawning Shadow really did brought a little bit of a time for them to reposition, but you can see how scary the Gwen currently right now. It is a fight that there's no BMM already. They also overstayed on taking down VIE, and him being tanky, they paid the price on spending a lot of the skills for him.
Field followed up right now. Angara is very low. Justice punch to isolate onto
This is
White One.
Galio.
Justice going for the execute. Jungler is gone for Team Vietnam. Now with no jungler left for Team V, and that is an opening for Team Philippines to be able to punish Team Vietnam. 2 for null trade in favor for Team PH.
Yes, they can do Baron, but definitely the damage is still there. You have Genza. You still have Taku for the playmaker. This is 3 versus 5, the full circle of Philippines. They are banking down. They are fending off anyone Infinity. I think it's time.
Angara and VIE zoning away the enemy team. Taku and BMM. BMM is already going into the Baron's pit, trying to get information, but in the end, it's Team Philippines who will be able to secure the Baron Nashor in their favor.
Being annoying, doesn't really want Genza to stay up close. And they made sure that even Taku or BMM can do any plays using the hero's entrance at the exact moment that he's going to drop. We saw the smite coming in. There's no way that Vietnam got a chance at that point. A 3 versus 5, and all of the ultimates has been spent. It is a comfortable play from the Philippines.
Yeah, with the Baron Nashor being secured by them, this is their opportunity now to take the push up against Team Vietnam. Securing the tier 1 turret in the mid lane gives them a lot of opening and gives them a lot of map control.
Ooh.
However, right now, here in the bottom side, you have Taku
He's just
having
going
to meet
to
VIE in the
ignore
bottom
this.
lane. But it's not just too easy to burst down a Garen.
Yeah, and this Baron empowered minions, it will take a lot to entirely finish the job. You can see that the turret HP has been on half, and they are going for a play onto the Baron lane.
Seal knocks up onto one, stages enchant, but time will not go for the execute for Y1. And now Team Philippines goes for the counter engage. BMM and Genza is gone. Akino walking around, going back, and now the inhibitor in top lane is secured. Y1
Oh,
hoping to
Y1.
defend, but will not suffice right now. Heroes entrance zoning away the enemy team, but that is just enough. Philippines is happy with the inhib turret.
And they are not just going in and going hard for the inhib turret, because VIE, again, with the split push, with the hull breaker, was able to take down the second tier tower, and right now he is still not done. As we are seeing movements, Y1, is this an overcommitment for the Philippines?
Oh, looking for the flash. Y1 goes for the solo unbound, but then
You are
immediate stun
surrounded,
coming
boy.
in from Angara. No escape, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Now Team Philippines has the opening to finish this game. The game-ending push, the game-ending team fight. Right now, Nexus is already down to 1k HP as Philippines will strike first in the gold medal match in SEA Games.
Hitting hard and hitting blows. Into the skies we go. As Tan delivers the finisher onto that Nexus, but definitely Philippines is a great